John Browne is with me now at Freedom Fest. He is with EuroPacific Capital, but he also is a former member of the English Parliament who worked alongside Margaret Thatcher, and he's a speaker here at the show. John, thanks for being with us on Kitco News.
Thank you, Daniela. It's a very great pleasure to be here.
Well, John, you gave quite a passionate talk before, and it was really around gold, and you speak very passionately about it. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the metal these days.
Well, the reason it's passion is because I see the middle class being crushed by governments around the world, and particularly in the old Western world, and I feel passionately that they should protect themselves to protect their wealth.
All right, John, let's talk IMF now. And I liked how when you were referring to the volatility in the gold market that we're seeing right now, is your thoughts are that perhaps the IMF and the central banks are encouraging this volatility because they don't want people to hold precious metals?
Absolutely. I mean, the central bank gold agreements number 1 and 2, under that, central banks gave the IMF 500 tonnes or metric tons a year of their gold holdings, pooled them, to be sold and dealt with by the IMF. And the IMF supposedly was to try and ensure that gold remained part of the monetary system. In fact, when prices of gold were rising, the IMF bought, and when prices were falling in the market, the IMF sold, to magnify the waves, to make them big, so that ordinary investors would think, well, John Browne and people say you should have a large part of your portfolio in gold. What nonsense. I want safety. I can't afford to invest in gold and silver when they're volatile. And so to make them volatile without doing anything, they just discourage people from investing in gold and precious metals, in silver as well.
John, is this a form of manipulation?
Oh, absolutely. Political manipulation's gone on for decades,
Right.
and
Well, because there's so much talk surrounding manipulation in the gold market. It's obviously a theory out there, and I was wondering your thoughts on that, of whether you think there's any truth behind that.
Oh yes, I mean the Federal Reserve Board openly admits, and so does the Bank of England, that they manipulate the bond market. There's less openness, but we know the plunge protection team exists in America to help manipulate the stock markets. If you noticed a year or two ago, the Dow never fell below 1300. You know, it was always 13,000. It was just, then it dipped below, it immediately was up there. It was very strange how it just always closed just above. And so they're there. We know they manipulate commodities, and they manipulate gold.
So what price do you think gold should be at, the fair value of gold?
That's, I hate to say it, but it's an impossible question to answer because, absolutely impossible, because so many people are out of gold because the governments have persuaded them not to buy, and they naturally would buy, but they don't. Other people haven't bought yet. Some people are not aware of what's going on, and when they realize how they're being taken to the cleaners by debased currency, they will start to become buyers. And we're at the edge of a bell curve. There are very few people who are informed enough, and they're in precious metals, mainly gold and silver. But when the bulk of the population get hit, they'll be big buyers. But most of the poorer people won't be able to afford 5,000 or 2,000 or whatever it's going to be at the time, dollars for a single 1 ounce coin, but they could afford $100 for a silver coin. So silver could rise faster than gold once the crisis happens. But the big boys, the central banks and major institutions and banks, hold gold. That's the big boys' metal. The silver is for the poor man's gold, basically, but it could rise faster.
John, before I let you go, are you in favor of a return to the gold standard?
A gold standard. I think a return to the gold standard, a full bullion standard, would be too severe. It's like planting a new plant and exposing it in your garden to the wind and the snow and ice. You have to start with it being in a greenhouse, a glass house. You protect it to start with. You let it grow and then put it out. So restoring faith in money by having a gold link, it would be the important step. To go to a full bullion standard would be too severe, would cause, it would make a severe recession into a complete economic crash.
Final thoughts as a financial survival guide to investors watching, John?
Well, I think make sure that a significant part of your portfolio is invested in precious metals. And I progressively myself am treating paper investments like securities as more speculative.
Thank you for your thoughts. And actually, as a curiosity, a personal curiosity, what was it like working alongside the great Margaret Thatcher?
Oh, I'm so glad you used the word great. To us, she was the blessed Margaret because, as I said, she had these wonderful principle of freedom and fairness to people. And what's more and most important, she had the courage to follow through. And Margaret Thatcher delivered. That's why she did the amazing thing. She captured the financial markets. They trusted Margaret Thatcher because she delivered. And this is what's lacking now. They don't trust any politician.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, John.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Daniela.
And thank you for watching our coverage from Freedom Fest. We'll have more for you. You can email us any comments you may have at newsfeedback@kitco.com or follow me on Twitter at Daniela Cambone. Thanks for watching.